Hi, Mark. Here, Wednesday, May the 20th, 9:20 a.m. Eastern, 1:20 p.m. GMT. US session is well underway into the afternoon portion of the European session. Let's have a look at the US dollar's performance. Small green candlestick. US dollar has struggled today, uh, following up from yesterday's strong day and the uptrend that's been in place now for over a week. Continuing now that the US session is underway, looks like US dollar is looking up at this resistance and to continue with the uptrend. I've got resistance at 99.38. I've got support at 99.20. We'll see if buyers and demand for US dollars does continue through now the US session is underway and buyers look to test this resistance, look higher, perhaps even looking up close to that 100 level, or if we get a turnaround from strong to weak US dollar and sellers do step in and look down at the 99.20 support level. But you can see today a very small body of the candlestick, almost a doji candlestick, confirming indecision so far regarding the US dollar. Let's have a look at the majors. Euro US. There you see red candlestick that's selling euro, buying US dollar, continuation of dollar strength. I've got resistance at 116.10. I've got support at 115.81. If I just zoom in on the hourly, there you can see where we're sitting was an attempt at dollar weakness buying the euro, selling the US a few hours ago, didn't last, and we're back to US dollar strength, red candlesticks, and sellers looking down at that support level. If we get a turnaround from strong to weak US dollar, buyers will look to bounce up off this area like we saw earlier on the hourly chart and look back up above the 116 resistance area. Let's have a look at the pound against the US. Also in a strong downtrend, we know that, selling pound, buying US dollar. Struggling today, the US dollar to continue strengthening against the pound. Also doji-like candlestick now that the US session's underway. Very tight range. I've got support at 133.79. I've got resistance at 134.05. And you can see not much movement from yesterday's close. If we see a continuation of dollar strength against the pound, sellers will look down at this support level at the 133.80 and look to extend the downtrend. If we get a turnaround from strong to weak US dollar, buyers of pound, sellers of US will look up at the 134.05 resistance level. Let's have a look at the US dollar against the yen. Initially, let's go to the hourly. Initially, you can see there was a bit of a sell-off early in the European session. US dollar buyers have stepped in. That's why we've got this wick left behind. And right now, testing this resistance at 159. Tough level to break above. I've got support at 158.82. I've got resistance at 159.09. Also a tight range. As we're seeing on all the majors, relatively tight ranges going into this US session today. Buyers will look to break above the 159.09, look to push higher. We know it's a tough level. We get talk of intervention by Bank of Japan once prices get above 159. So we have to watch for that. If we get a turnaround from strong to weak US dollars, sellers will be looking down at the 158.82 support level. But on the front foot for now, looking to test and break above this resistance level. US dollar against the Canadian. There we see the uptrend continuing, higher highs, higher lows, still green body candlestick. So it has strengthened so far today, even though there is a wick at the top of the body. Let's zoom in on the hourly. There you see why. You see that a few hours ago in the European session, strong sell-off, selling US, buying Canadian, but US is looking to fight its way back for now. There's the daily. We'll see where the US can continue this fight back, get back to the test this resistance at 137.77, look up at the 138 level, or if we see US dollar being sold and a turnaround from strong to weak US dollar against the Canadian, sellers will be looking down at this 137.47 support level. So US dollar kind of on the front foot today, struggling though, not all one-way traffic with the US dollar. We'll see whether it picks up momentum through the US session and if the relative resistance support levels can be broken, or if we do get a turnaround perhaps from strong to weak US dollar and sellers do step in the relevant major pairs. Good trading, keep that discipline, and I'll see you at the end of day.